President Ruto will allow the American government to access all Kenyan health records if he signs the Model Specimen Sharing Agreement. According to whistleblower Nelson Amenya, your health records, your children's health records, every test, diagnosis, and treatment will be accessible to the American government. They will access the medical data without your consent, without any restrictions on what they can or cannot see, and there will be no anonymization of identities, so your identity will be revealed. And this is unconstitutional because your right to privacy under Article 31 will be violated. The Kenyan Health Act of 2017 will be completely violated, and according to that law, health information is confidential unless you sign a written consent, the court orders disclosure, or there is a serious threat to national health. And the Digital Health Act will be completely violated. The Digital Act protects patients' data, including their privacy, confidentiality, and security. And shockingly, your health data will be managed by American law and not Kenyan law. If they follow American law, then it means your Kenya data protection rights will not exist to them. It means the Kenyan courts will be completely powerless because it is not within their jurisdiction, and it will also mean that the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner will be powerless as well. And shockingly, the US government will get the data from Kenya for 25 years, and in return, Kenya will only get limited funding from US from 2026 to 2030. And the US government can share this data with 10 pharmaceutical companies, and they will develop vaccines and drugs for the diseases. And if Kenya fails to comply, the US government will discontinue the funding, and it may also terminate the agreement. So basically, the medical data of over 50 million Kenyans will be handed over to a foreign government and a foreign law without the consent of Kenyans. According to Amenya, the government must disclose this agreement to the public. There should be a parliamentary debate, and the MPs must either approve or reject the agreement, and there should be full renegotiation of the terms of the agreement to make it fair for all parties. Nelson Amenya is the activist who revealed the secret Adani deal. And Koala said the only reason they would need so much data is because they plan on turning Kenyans into lab rats for experimental drugs.
Because the devil is in the details, I want to tell you exactly what is in that document that William Ruto signed yesterday, essentially giving away our health sovereignty as a nation, as a people. So in that document, it's called the Kenya-US Health Cooperation Framework. In that document, the United States government is going to fund research and programs to tackle infectious diseases like HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis and other infectious diseases for a period of 5 years. And in return, they can access all our medical data. Anytime you go to a hospital and get tested and get treated, your data can be accessed by the US government for a period of 25 years. Now, remember, not so long ago, Donald Trump, who is the president of the United States, abolished or shut down US aid, right? Because they said it's being used wrongly. It's being used to steal money, and money is being wasted. So he shut it down. So now, that money that the US is going to fund, or the money that the US is going to give us to help us to tackle these infectious diseases, is going to be given to government people or government, for example, the Ministry of Health and other faith-based communities or people that deal with health, because kuna hospitali zinaraniwa na church, right? So yeah, essentially we know in this country nothing works. Mara ngapi watu wamefukuza hospitali because they don't have money. So when you hear that that money is going to the government, you know that that money is it's going to people's pockets. So essentially what has happened? Sini kuuzwa imeuzwa, sini data imeuzwa, ama what do you think?
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans of goodwill, President Ruto is at it again. He's currently on tour to the US. He's going to witness a peace treaty being signed. But aside from that, he's also going to sign away our health sovereignty. Now, we are not citizens of the United States, but because Ruto is going to sign away our health sovereignty, the United States now can access medical records for Kenyans, data that belongs to us without our consent. Remember, health is devolved. Again, we are not United States citizens, so I wonder what the United States government would want to be doing with our medical records. I keep saying the agenda is one. I keep saying protect your data, protect yourself. They are trying to gather data, gather information, and they're doing it by all means possible.
Hi fam. Wacha nikwambie, leo karibu Ruto amwage unga pale Washington DC. You know, after we got the health framework and of cooperation agreement signed, I think Ruto was overexcited, or rather, the person who wrote Ruto's speech on the tablet or the iPad maybe made the mistake, and Ruto, Ruto's reflexes corrected it. Or he was still remembering the last time that he visited US and Joe Biden was the president, because he almost thanked President Biden.
To President Donald Trump and to you, Marco, for the commitment.
This could have landed us into great chaos, especially at this time, the way that Donald Trump is very slippery.
On behalf of the government and people of Kenya, I express profound gratitude to the United States, to President Donald Trump, and to you, Marco, for the commitment of US dollars 1.6 billion to Kenya over the next 5 years. This gesture of goodwill by President Trump on behalf of...
A few months ago, this headline looked like it meant something. But now, in retrospect, when you look at a deal like this, it looks like it was just a threat. A threat that Napier was used as leverage for the completion of such a deal. Which goes back to some points I like to repeat on this account. Like one, the West does not really mind a dictator as long as they are giving them what they want. Two, a president is a liability. All they had to do was strong arm this one guy and he would just sell the health records. Just like that. Or Chamchir, the guy is easy to buy. It's also given me a bit of perspective about global politics. Something that I think I've heard Polytechnics say before, where it's just about interests. And as long as the interest can be acquired, they don't really mind the means. So just because Ruto is a bad guy doesn't mean that the US doesn't like him. Just because he gets called out like this does not mean that they're going to do something about it. As long as he gives them what they want, it's forever.
President Trump just gave Kenya $1.6 billion to fund their healthcare system. Yet a few weeks ago, he refused to extend the ACA subsidies for Americans so they could afford theirs. That's not America first. I don't know what is.
William Samoei Ruto.
Mr. Planless.
Whenever you sign anything, make sure you tell Kenyans what you're going to sign. Because sahi kuna ile fununu tumesikia tumeuzwa kwa Illuminati.
Tumeuzwa kwa Chief Bernard.
Sasa reason is mbona tunasainiwa vitu hatujui? Tumeambiwa ni health data yetu sijui nini data yetu inapatiana for the next 25 years. For what reason? Do you know in the next 25 years we are not sure even Ruto whether atakuwa alive?
Ruto atakuwa amekufa.
Hata sisi wenyewe hatujui kama tutakuwa.
Sisi tumeuza hata wenye wajazaliwa amekufa.
Mkumbuke very well, Adani ilikuwa iuzwe for the next 30 years.
Manze.
So I'm asking William Samoei Ruto. Ile kupatiana data yetu, parliament inafaa irudi iangalie maneno. So hiyo puzi yote ambayo imesainiwa huko US, we are not part of it. In fact, tunapinga sana. Tunaelewana vizuri?
Kabisa.
Irudi kwa parliament. Parliament ikituuza, we know how to deal with the parliament. Sisi hatujui vile tunadili na Ruto sahi mpaka 2027. Lakini parliament tunajua how to deal with it. Wananchi wewe, si mnajua vile tunafanyanga parliament? Yes. Hiyo we occupy, we don't joke. But Ruto, wewe tumekupatia miaka yako, maliza, but hiyo vitu ulisaini huko irudi parliament tuiangalie vizuri. Otherwise sina maneno mengi. Wale ambao wanapigia Fred Okengo Matiang'i kura, please mwagere chikura chi nyingi mano. Thank you.
Ole buta.
Kenya and America are finally mending their relationship. This comes after America, they were suggesting that Kenyans are traitors because they kept trading with China over America. Well now, President Ruto, he was invited to America and he went, and I'm telling you, I think this was a good idea. Let me explain. You see, Kenya was supposed to be one of the 10 African countries that were banned from applying migration to America. But as soon as President Ruto accepted, the list came out and Kenya was nowhere to be seen. And not just that, as soon as our President Ruto went to America, they made some deals. Well, the first deal they made, it was the US-Kenya Health Framework, where America is going to commit $1.6 billion for Kenya's healthcare over the next 5 years, and that is just amazing. Another deal they made the Debt for Food Security swap, where the International Development Finance Corporation, they agreed to a $1 billion debt for food security. President Trump, he would even go on to praise the Kenyan president and even the Kenyan athletes. He even invited the Kenyan president to the next Olympics, which will be held in America, as his special guest. A lot of people are skeptical about this. They don't know how to feel about this because a while back, America, they were saying that Kenyans, we are going to reevaluate our relationship with you because you keep trading with China. And now they're open arms, giving Kenya money and all of that. There's something suspicious going on. But what do you think about all this? Is America doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, or is there something fishy going on in the backgrounds?
Nankulia moto, nankulia moto, nankulia moto, hey, nankulia moto. Nanunisha meno, mgeuka unanumia meno, kwani una maneno, unajona namba za ngeno. Mina mamchoro za kupata do na sokshko boho na pushko boho. Hatogopi ngoringo, leta noma niko on.